Hello, this is lesson 4-6 of Algebra 1, and we will be covering equations of perpendicular lines today, which is very similar to parallel lines with one major difference. And that difference being the behavior of perpendicular line slopes. Perpendicular line slopes have to be negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so what that means is, let's say I have negative 1/4, and I want to make a slope that is parallel to negative 1/4. I would have to first change the sign. So since I have a negative, I'm going to make it a positive. If it's a positive, make it a negative. And then we're going to flip the fraction. So instead of being 1/4, I'm now going to be 4/1, which is the same thing as being 4. I'll do one more just for the fun of it. Let's say I have positive 1/3. If I want to change it to its reciprocal, well, let's make it 3, just to change it up. So I have positive 3. If I want its negative reciprocal, I'm going to change the sign. And instead of being 3/1, I'm now 1/3. Okay? So remember this two-step process from Chapter 3. So our first problem wants us to write the equation of a line perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3x minus 12 that goes through the point negative 9, 2. Now the reason I've highlighted 3 in pink is because that is a slope that I need to be perpendicular to. So I'm going to follow my two-step process. I'm going to change the sign and flip the fraction. So I know the slope of my perpendicular line should be negative 1/3. And the other information that I'm given is my point. So now I have point and slope, so it would make sense to go to point-slope form just like we did for parallel lines. Okay, so I'm going to plug everything in. Y minus my y-coordinate, which is 2, equals negative 1/3, which is my slope, times x minus a negative 9, or to clean that up, y minus 2 equals negative 1/3 times x plus 9. Okay? This is point-slope form. I'm done with that answer. Now, there is a possibility, and we've been forewarned in all of our classes, that, you know what, EOC might want standard form, it might want slope-intercept form, or you might feel comfortable working, if there's more to the problem, in another form. So let's take this and convert it to slope-intercept form. And I'm going to do this by beginning with distributing the negative 1/3. So I have y minus 2 equals negative 1/3 x, and now I need to do negative 1/3 times 9. If you don't know how to do that by hand, get your calculator, go to calculate, and I'm going to do control divide, which gives me a fraction. I'm going to do negative 1/3 times 9, and I get negative 3. Okay? So this is negative 3. Okay, I need y by itself, and this 2 is hanging out with it, so I need to get rid of it. I cannot add the 2 to negative 1/3 because these are not like terms, so I'm going to add it to the other number. And so I get y equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. This is my slope-intercept form. So this is my second answer. Now, if it says to do it in standard form, I will need to convert it to that. So remember, standard form, I need x and y on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to start by adding 1/3 x. Make sure you're adding across the equal sign, not to the other side of the equation. So now I have 1/3 x plus y equals negative 1. Now remember, the rules say you can't have a fraction or a negative number in the front number. So to get rid of this fraction, I have to multiply the whole thing by the denominator, or that's 3. So 3 times 1/3 is just 1x. 3 times y is 3y. And then 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Okay? So there is my standard form. Okay, again we have special cases, your vertical and horizontal lines. They are always perpendicular to each other. So an example, if I asked you to come up with a perpendicular line to x equals -1, which is a vertical line, I would need to come up with an equation of a horizontal line. So like y equals 2. Those two would be perpendicular to each other. Now, another example is if they told me to come up with an equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals 3 and goes through the point -1, 2, then I would have to say, okay, well, I know that a perpendicular line would be x equals something. Use that x right there. Okay? And that is all for lesson 4-6.